All right, let's get right into it. Today, we're going to break down this absolutely massive contradiction in U.S. national security policy. And it's all based on the fantastic work of Norbert Bob Gosticha. We're talking about a policy that seems to have a blind spot, a really, really big one.
And wow, this quote really just hits the nail on the head, doesn't it? Gosticha puts it so clearly: a fact is a fact, no matter how much political spin you put on it. And this idea is absolutely central to understanding the bizarre situation with the TikTok app.
Okay, so let's start with the official story, what the government says it's doing. The U.S. has this very public, very tough on China stance, especially when it comes to technology and all of the potential security risks.
And what you're seeing here, it's really clear-cut, right? The FCC has gone and blacklisted major Chinese tech companies like Huawei and ZTE. Millions of their products, we're talking routers, cameras, you name it, have been ordered off the shelves. It's a tangible action, it's something you can measure, and honestly, it's politically very safe.
In the why behind all this? It's pretty simple. The official worry is that this hardware could have backdoors built in, which could allow for spying and for all kinds of sensitive American data to be funneled right back to China. It's a classic national security argument. So far, everything makes sense. But here's where the logic just completely falls apart. I mean, if the government is so worried about Chinese hardware spying on us, what about the software on your phone? And that, my friends, is the plot twist.
And this right here just lays the whole contradiction bare. On one side, you have hardware that's banned because it might spy on your devices. On the other side, you have TikTok, an app that spies directly on you. It collects your face, your voice, your location, your contacts, and it's all controlled by ByteDance, which is a Chinese company. Now, TikTok will say its U.S. data is stored in the U.S., safe and sound, firewalled from China. But Gosticha's analysis points out a giant hole in that defense.
And this is that giant hole. See, this isn't just some hypothetical fear. China's national intelligence law makes it a legal requirement for companies like ByteDance to cooperate with state intelligence. That means any firewall, any promise they make is basically irrelevant. By law, the Chinese Communist Party can demand access to all that American user data TikTok's been collecting.
So you got to ask yourself, right? If the threat is exactly the same and the company's promises are legally meaningless, then why is the hardware banned but the app gets a free pass? Well, the answer isn't about security principles, it's about something a lot more cynical.
This is the million-dollar question, isn't it? After everything we've just laid out, the hardware ban, the identical threat from the app, the specific Chinese law that makes any promise void, why the massive exception for TikTok? And there it is, one single word that explains the entire contradiction: votes. TikTok is incredibly popular, and politicians, well, they need to be where the voters are, especially the younger ones. I absolutely love this analogy from Gosticha. It's perfect. You have politicians from both parties getting in front of cameras warning everyone about Chinese cyber threats, and then they turn right around and film a campaign dance video on the very platform they just said endangers the country. The hypocrisy is just wow.
And that's really the bottom line here. Look, no politician ever lost an election for being tough on some Chinese camera company, but alienating millions of voters by banning their favorite app? That's a political risk a lot of them just aren't willing to take, even if the security logic is exactly the same.
But here's the thing. The risk goes way deeper than just your data getting collected. Gosticha argues that the real danger is actually far more insidious. We're talking about the potential for mass manipulation.
Just let that number sink in for a second. 150 million American users. That is not just a big number. That's nearly half the country. A foreign-controlled platform has a direct line to the eyes, ears, and yes, the minds of all those people. So how would that work? Well, it's a pretty simple and powerful process. First, the app just vacuums up huge amounts of personal data on you. Second, its incredibly powerful algorithm uses that data to build you a personalized feed, deciding exactly what you see and what you don't. And third, through that curation, it has the power to subtly amplify divisions, to distort facts, and to nudge the opinions of millions of people.
And like Gosticha says, this isn't just about your data being stolen. It's about your very decisions being influenced. When a foreign power has the ability to quietly shape how millions of Americans see the world, well, that's a direct threat to national sovereignty. It's a time bomb.
So, let's tie all of this together.
What are we supposed to take away from this blatant contradiction between tough talk on hardware and total inaction on software?
Ghostish's analysis basically calls it what it is. This is all just political theater. Banning some devices to look tough on China while you ignore a much bigger threat because it helps you get votes, that is not a coherent security strategy. It's just a performance.
Because at the end of the day, the facts are the facts. A threat is a threat, whether it's coming from a router in your office or an app on your phone. And real security doesn't get to make exceptions just because something is popular or politically convenient.
And really, that's the question we're all left with. This whole TikTok situation is a perfect case study of that conflict. It forces us to ask where our leaders, and maybe where we, draw the line between doing what's right and just doing what's easy. It's definitely something to think about.